Hello, beautiful, and welcome back to another episode of Beautiful I Am Colored. My name is Evelyn, and I'm the author and creator of the podcast that goes by that same name. I'm so honored and grateful that you have returned to hear more insights and perspectives that I have gained throughout my week. This week, no different than any other week, except we have 2 weeks of catch up, essentially, because I was out last week spending some much needed time with family. Um, but this week, I thought it important to bring back on, he makes cameo appearances every now and then, at least for those of you who have listened to my podcast. My significant other, my partner, my husband of 26 plus years, Marlon Barnes. And we're going to talk about a topic that I think is very near and dear to people who are in our age group, and that is parenting young adults in those seasons. And so we're going to talk and just discuss amongst each other, and of course, ultimately to you, about some of the things that we're learning thus far. Definitely not a comprehensive list at all because we are still in this season of life. But just know that because we also are looking for other parents who are in the same field, it's important sometimes to put yourself out there first so that you can attract others of like mind. So I hope you enjoy today's show. The chair sitting next to me will be filled with my husband after we come back. But we're not going to deviate from shout outs and thank yous. It's just this week I will have a co-host. So I'll be right back. And we're back. So for those of you who have not had the opportunity to hear Marlon and I conversate before, I would encourage you to go and listen to my podcast, which does not have the video accompaniment to it, but the applicable links to get to that are in the description box. That way you can learn more about us. Funny short story is that we actually used to have a YouTube channel for a very brief period called The Progression of Us, where we kind of just shared like some tips after being married. I was going to say for so long, but it's really not, it's relative, right, to who you're talking to.
No, it was 25 years.
Well, we're 26 and it's changed now.
We was doing a show.
It was 20. You're right. It was our 25th year of being married. So not just together, it's much longer than that of us being together, but we have been married now for 26 and a half years or so. And from time to time, I kind of beg and plead for him to come on. You see that shake off? It's a beg and plead for him to come on and help me through certain conversations that I feel like can have both a balancing approach or harmonization, if you will, with the commentary. And because we have did this thing called parenting and still are to date, I thought it'd be fitting to have Marlon back on the show. He is always a gem and drop nuggets. Just so you know, typically, you know that I do not script very many things. I typically have like a topic and then I like to free flow in order to maintain the most authenticity associated with what we present to you. And so this week will be no different. But before we get started, I do like to start with a segment I call shout outs and thank yous. And that's just where we share, well, where I typically share today. We will be sharing something that you're grateful for. And it could be a person, place, thing, or idea, but anything that you're grateful for the week. So for this week's shout outs and thank yous for me, I have actually a lot, but I'll try to keep my list short. If you've been listening to me for a while on the podcast, you'll know I have been looking for work since I graduated from law school. And so I'm so pleased and happy to announce that by the time most of you see this video or hear this podcast, I will have started my new position. Now, will I ever talk to you in detail about what I do? Probably not. And that's just because I just believe in boundaries. I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm not. I believe in some things should be separate. And if you listen to me for a while, that should come of no surprise to you. But I did want to share that I have finally have something, and I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for health and wellness. It's very important, and I have enjoyed my workout still, and grateful that I have the opportunity to move my body and not take it for granted. So I'll leave it at that. Those are my two biggest things that I will share with you this week. And that gave my spouse a little bit of time to think about
No, I was shaking my head over here
one
because
thing.
no, I was shaking my head because first you did two,
Okay.
and the second one that you did is the one that I was going to pick, which is I'm grateful for a sound mind
Mm-hmm.
and my well-being. You know,
Mm-hmm.
health is something that people take for granted, but um, it's a valuable. It's probably our most valuable asset as you journey through life. You need to be of sound mind and healthy body. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm grateful for that.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. And you're right. I probably did say one thing, but
It's all right.
it's beautiful. I'm color, which I kind of just do what I want. And so I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying, like, sometimes multiple things come out when I say it should be one.
I get it.
Regardless, I'm so thankful that you're here for this topic today. Okay. Today's topic, parenting young adults. Now, I have already told Marlon that I'm not going to take up more than 30 minutes of his time. So I'm going to try to my best to honor that so that he will come back, because once he gets to talking, you'll see why I love talking with him. I love having discussions. And um, again, I'm so grateful. All jokes aside, I'm so grateful um, to be able to spend life with this guy right here. I'm not trying to shame you.
You're not shaming. The
I'm
feeling is
grateful.
mutual. The
I'm
feeling
grateful.
is definitely mutual.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. So let's cascade right into today's topic. And I want to just start by saying, like, some of the things that, because we were teen parents, I would say that we looked forward to the day that we were empty nesting for a very long time. And so the day came some months back. For those of you who listen to my podcast, you'll know that I actually said I was going to start a series called Empty Nesting, like where Marlon and I shared over a series of weeks, what we like, what we don't like, etc. Well, that season of life was short lived, because we have one who is back at home, which we're grateful for. But I did want to touch on some of the expectations, maybe, and some probably of the mindsets that weren't necessarily accurate for us to have in terms of parenting um, young adults. With that being said, I want to open it up, Marlon, and just talk about and let you say, like, maybe one or two things that you anticipated about, like, empty nesting, or not, excuse me, not empty nesting, young adults, and parenting of young people. Um,
Hmm.
and let me just tell you, because I know people will want to know, the ages of our, it's hard to say children because I always think of a little
Yeah.
person, but the ages of our young adults are 27, 24, 21, and 22.
22.
So,
Yep. So the question was,
what are some of the things like that you kind of like thought it would be like to like parent like young adults? And what are some of those things, like, what would you say, like, that we've experienced that may have not necessarily been accurate for this season of life?
man, it may sound like I'm copping out, but um, this is about what I imagined, just about.
Really?
Hmm. Because you always hear, you hear, and people have said this. I can't say specifically that my parents said this, but I know people close to me have said, wait till they get older, or wait till they, whatever. You can fill in the blank with wait until.
Mm-hmm.
And so um, those things like wait until they get of a certain age, you'll see type of thing. Um, that theme kind of rings true in what I feel like has happened in the children becoming young adults, right? Is people say stuff like the way you were when you was coming up, you'll see it in your children type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So because I've heard that theme so much, I feel like um, not anticipating the actual events that has occurred and things that have gone on with each of them individually, but just collectively the theme of what it would be like to deal with young adults. Yeah, this is about right.
Okay.
The only thing that I took for granted, and I think we both have taken for granted, is how young we were and almost because we chose to marry and have a family so young, how much we had to um, have a mindset of doing everything on our own. I think that's the only difference. That's the only thing that has caught me off guard a little bit, is that the way we approached adulthood because of our family was like, this is what you do, right? You get to a certain point, you cast out, and you do what you got to do, and you don't look back. And that mentality has not necessarily been. Um, that's not. They want their freedom, but that type of mentality, that type of mentality where I'm going to make it work, I'm going to figure it out, like I'm going. Um, the adventurous side of it, yes, but some of the responsibility of that and things of that nature, not so much. And I don't want to. I don't want to go too far with that, because in the end, we kind of had to do that because of the situation, right? I mean, young family, we had, like, it was just certain moves that just had to be made. So
Sure.
that's what I would say for me.
Okay. I'm a bit different in that I think I imagine that they wouldn't need us as much. And what I found is that they probably need us about the same as they needed us like in 10 years. And so I don't mean from a standpoint of like um needing us to do like, you know, the goings and the comings that occur with 10 years and high school games and all that.
Sure.
Um but what I mean, like, just to be there to talk out things. Like, I don't think I anticipated that as much as I should have. And I think it's an area right now that I'm learning that um, as much as I like to give to this audience, all the more important is me giving and spending time with, my young adults. And then also knowing that they are all different. So we have two guys, two girls, and they are all different, and their communication styles are all different.
Yeah.
And then just kind of learning where to meet them in terms of, you know coaching opportunities, like giving advice, um
Yeah.
being able to listen without judging, which I'll say is hard for me, because not necessarily judging, but I like to problem solve. Like, when they come to us with stuff, I just want to figure out how to solve it. And I'm at the beginning stages of learning that they don't always want you to solve it. They just want to get it out.
Yeah.
And so, which is hard as a parent. It's very hard. And I think one of the things that helped me growing up was because I was from such a huge family. Because my mom is one of 10. Like, if I didn't go to my mom, I always had other family members that, maybe were closer in age. Like my aunts, 10 years older than me, which essentially kind of can fall into that sibling, age range.
Sure.
And so basically I had that community type of community, or what's the saying? It takes a village. I had that community or village type of upbringing. And so I had multiple people to go to. And I think one of the things that was, to your point, that was very unique about us is because we got married so young, and also plus we moved around to a lot of different places. It truly was just us, without having the benefit or burden, however you look at it, the benefit of I'm just keeping it real, of having, family members around, or cousins or whatever,
Right.
those discussions that you would have.
Yeah.
And so I would say that that's one major thing. I think also too, and I want to bring this into the conversation, the social media piece. So, which is something that, of course, if you are, what are we, Gen X, right?
I don't know.
According to the people who do these things, these labels.
I think we're in between whatever's after Gen X and Gen X. I think we're
okay.
I mean,
I know we
give or take 5-10 years, you can kind of make a case for either one.
I see. Well, I think we're Gen X ish, even though that's not necessarily an accurate label. The bottom line is this: when we were growing up, and I've talked to you about this before, we are like the generation that has the benefit of knowing old world stuff as well as new world stuff. So what do I mean by that? I know how to use a phone book. I know what a payphone is. I actually have used one before. I know what
the Dewey Decimal System.
Man, come on. I know about that.
Dude, that's
But then I also know about the internet and Google Drive and ordering groceries or packages. I'm definitely probably intermediate to advanced level in dealing with some of the communication options
right.
that the kids have now. But the social media piece is, I feel like, has been somewhat of a curse ish for the younger generation because they don't have the benefit of having what is it
Yeah,
like without it, because the internet was just getting popular like when we were in high school. Like I remember how
yeah,
expensive it was because we sure didn't have nobody's internet till like after long after I graduated. Now that I think about it,
yeah, for sure.
that first gateway computer was like $3,000 on credit.
It was.
You remember
Yeah,
that?
it was expensive.
And so yeah,
Oh
so
wow, yeah,
I don't want to get off task too much, but I do think that social media piece, and then there's that instant, like it makes it seem like things come so
yeah,
fast, and that there is no time lag in between, let's say, an objective or a goal and the moment you set it versus the moment you reach it.
yeah,
The social media makes it seem as if that time has shrunk and that things happen instantaneously, which of course we know is a lie.
right.
But I will say that I'm concerned that social media for a lot of young people is very damaging.
Social media is damaging for everybody.
Okay,
It's not just the young people.
that's good.
And the way I look at it is it's interactive. There's a difference, right? With television and radio, it's one sided. Like the signal is being pushed out,
Hmm.
and you hear it or you watch it, right?
Okay, I'm with
Now,
you.
and what I mean by interactive is that in social media, unlike television, you can just click the heart in real time. Like you see a picture
Hmm.
and you can like it.
Okay.
You can do the thumbs up.
Hmm.
You can comment. You can
Hmm.
click the heart. So it's engaging people. It's adding a different sense, right?
Hmm.
Watching television, listen to the radio, right? You interpreting or you watching with the eyes. Now it's taking it a whole other sense. You watch with the eyes, you're hearing, and you getting to interact with it
Hmm. Hmm.
almost in real time if you go live and stuff like that, right?
Okay.
So the reward system, internally, the way
Hmm.
humans are wired, the reward system of being able to interact and get the instant gratification,
Hmm.
psychologically,
Hmm.
is they notice,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And maybe
By they, you're
somebody.
talking about the creators of the social. Oh yeah,
Yes.
they
Now,
definitely
someone
know.
watching this who know all the
Definitely.
technical, the jargon that goes with it, because I know this,
Hmm.
I know this, and so there's something that's going on, like at the core of us when we are on social media,
Hmm.
and it's changing us.
Hmm.
Like we're meta, we're changing. We're going through a metamorphosis as the more we engage. We're like the population is turning into something else,
Hmm.
and I think a part of that
In
is
fact, just to validate that point, in fact, it rewards you the more you're in it.
yes,
So, and I can say this about myself because honestly, I'm not trying to be in the machine past the level of comfort and boundaries that I have in place. But I notice, like with Instagram or whatever, like the more you post, it's almost like the more you engage, the more you reward it, whether it's the likes, whether it's the comments, whether
yeah,
it's the YouTube notification saying your channel is getting more traction than it typically
yeah.
does, whatever the wording is. Some of y'all YouTube people are much more advanced than I am. But the bottom line is that you're absolutely right. And so I just think that because I'm in my mid 40s, like, and my mindset is kind of jail to a degree. Like, I know you can have shifts and changes, but it's jail to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Um, I can forego certain things. Like, okay, I don't care if I ain't getting no view. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. But for a lot of people, it's not as easy. You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
yeah, but I don't want to. I don't. I want to be careful in how I speak of it because along with what I just described and what's happening technology wise and how it's interactive in the reward systems, it's also a cultural dynamic that's involved as well.
That's true.
And so,
That's true.
like to be isolated from that, it's like going back and, you know, you can't listen to the radio, you can't watch the videos, you can't anything that's popular in pop culture, right? It'll be like stripping that away from you back in the day, right? So not only so you got a culture dynamic, and then everybody's interacting with the social media, right? So if you cut your someone out, if you get cut out, like depending on how engaged you are
Right.
in social media, like that is it could be isolating and lonely, is what I assume. So this thing is like the connectivity of it, the way it becomes one with people. I feel like we'll look back in history and they'll be defining this and saying how critical this was to wherever we're going, because you can't help but consider the fact that it's engaging us at a different level. And as we continue to go into virtual and all these other things, it's going to pick up, right? And so, but on a maybe on a more positive side of things, I think whether it's hard or not, I think everyone needs to have a plan for themselves to know how to pull themselves out or to get in tune with whatever they need to get in tune with. Because the more this accelerates, you just can imagine what else may come out of it, right? And so, yeah, but I mean, social media is a big, 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 big deal.
With that part being said, in terms of yeah, using it, but also realizing that you need to take a break. I know one of the things that I've told the kids and the young adults is that sometimes just put it down.
Yeah.
Just for a while. I think they call it, the young people call it the ghosting. Ghost for a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To where you're not. And I even had to do this for myself, because initially, like, I was saying, okay, I'm gonna commit to post one thing every single day. That's too much for me. That is too much for me. And it was starting to feel burdensome. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was starting to take the joy out of what I was doing. I was like, no, and I get it. Because there's several people that have playbooks on this thing and everything, and I get it. And if this is your number one breadwinner, you might have to do that. But this is not for me. And so I had to say no when I'm led, you know what I'm saying? I'll be on there, but I'm not going to be on here day in, day out, 2 or 3 times. I'm not doing that. And so I've encouraged the young adults as well, like, just lay off of it sometimes, Don't go to sleep with, and we've been doing this, for years, at least don't go to sleep with your phone right beside your head. Put your phone over on the nightstand, or if you can, outside the room. Buy an old school clock for if you need help waking up, instead of using your phone for alarm time and all that, to help. I want to transition now, because I do want to honor the 30-minute window that I told you I was going to honor. And I want you to just think about or share one or two, whatever you feel led to do, like things that you feel like right now, in terms of like us, where we are with our children and our offspring, and the varying stages of life that they're all at. Like, what is one thing that you feel like is going well with them?
I think that I think at the core, the fundamental behaviors that have I feel like that have made us successful, which resilience, structure, hard work, um, um, spirituality. I think there are some core fundamental things that I really do believe at the core they picked up on, and it's showing up in at various times within their lives. I think our parents would probably say the same thing about us, in the sense of those traits, those traits, those traits that made them successful in the things they've been able to do. I'm sure they would say they see some of those traits in us, and as I'm watching them, I see those traits. Even though I know there's more to develop, I see the signs. When I see them, I see the signs. Even in how I behave, in my good and in my bad, I see those signs of resilience, and that gives me hope. That makes I feel like that has gone well. And now, how I want to believe that we modeled that as we live our lives as young adults. I don't know exactly how they picked up on it. It could just be transferable, from a hereditary standpoint, whatever it is. But I see it, And I feel like that connectivity of um, being able to advance that within them has gone really well. And I think that as they're journeying through their life, I think I'm seeing each one of them adapt in various ways, and I continue to look forward to seeing them like because here's the thing, people see us today, but if you would have looked at us 15 years ago or 20 years ago, you would see a glimpse of some of the things that may have manifested in a stronger way today.
Yeah,
You would see glimpses of that now, but you probably wouldn't have saw the full version of it.
definitely
And
not.
so I see that. When I'm talking to them, I'm hearing certain things, I'm seeing certain things, hearing certain phrases where I'm like, I remember when I was like that, right? And so I think that has gone well, and I believe in that.
That was good. I think I agree with you. And I think one of the things that's going well right now is the ability for me to just acknowledge that when I don't know something, like be vulnerable enough to say, like, I know a lot, but I don't know, and I don't know how to do this right now. But what I can do is we can figure it out. We whatever it is, we can work it out. And I'm very thankful that I'm at that place. You know what I'm saying right now, where sometimes I might be crying right alongside you because I don't know, and the comfortability to feel like I don't always have to be like that strong mom. You know what I'm saying? When I feel like I can't come in and rescue and make all things better, because most moms and dads want to come in and we want to make things better, make things smooth. But the truth of the matter is that we don't learn like that as human. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's a mistake. I mean, I think the one thing that I would say about parenting, and this is coming. I mean, I'm not even. I wasn't gonna give a disclaimer like, well, this is no, we got everything figured out.
Yeah.
But disclaimers I'm working on just not giving. If you know, you know, right? But as I look at just the parenting, I think that it's important to know that you're not going to always be able to save the day. The truth of the matter is that we all learn through our experiences, opportunities, doors open, doors close, things happen. It's called life.
It is.
And so thinking that you're going to always be there to save them is unrealistic, right? What they say, the eagle kicks the bird out the nest and let them fall and stuff, and then save them at the end. I don't know how. I think there's a thing that happens when they're getting them out of the nest. I think there's a reality about life, and I think you have to be careful not to stand in the way of that too much for them. At the same time, you want to be there for advice. You want to be there to catch them. You want to be there to reinforce them, but you don't want to begin to become a crutch for their ability to learn.
Agreed.
And in doing that, you as a parent, you have to be resilient in the sense that there's going to be some days where your heart going to hurt a little bit because you're like, man, I feel that.
My heart be hurting a lot.
You're like, I feel that. You're like, man, I feel that. And I was hoping that wouldn't necessarily be the path, but you know what? Here we are. What are we doing now, right? And so I think it's important to normalize that a little bit, right? Because I said this to all my friends, as people I talk to. It's like, look at you. Look at when you was 17, 22, 24, 26. The things you had to discover. Everyone it's like a rite of passage. Learning how to navigate life is a rite of passage, and having the wisdom of having parents or grandparents and family around you to speak to you and to try to advise is really all you can do is create that support, but not the crutch. And it's something that that's a balance.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's a fine line, and it's not anything that we have mastered. By no stretch of the imagination, but it is something that I would say we're navigating through. And I like to leave people every week with some sense of hope and healing. That's my overall objective every week, is that I leave the listener or the watcher with a sense of hope I think we've done that with some of the things that we shared. I know we didn't get too in depth with providing examples specifically to what our kids are going through, and that is intentional. If you've been listening to me for a while, you know that that's a boundary that I have in place, because it's not, some things are not my story to tell. Even though I have a role in the story, it's not my story to tell, and so I'm sensitive to that when it comes to our offspring. In the meantime, I do hope that you enjoyed this week. I want to thank Marlon Barnes. He makes cameo appearances every now and then on the podcast or a video, and it's always a joy because he definitely adds strength to me. And so I'm thankful that he was here. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, of course. And I appreciate you so much. It's been a pleasure to be before you. As always, remember, especially you parents even, the future you is waiting on you. Until next time, beautiful.